What's up guys, this is Maliss, and today I wanted to make a quick little video on the Skystriker engine because I think these cards are incredibly good. You can play them in a bunch of decks, but the two best decks to take full advantage of this engine would be Maliss as well as Tenpai Dragon. So we have seen these decks do well at two big events that happened very recently. So the most recent one was YCS Guangzhou in China, where we saw Skystriker Tenpai Dragon, and then YCS Anaheim, so YCS right before, the most recent one in the TCG, we saw Maliss Skystriker. And again, there's a very good reason why people are incorporating the Skystriker engine to their deck. It not only makes the deck better, I guess we can say going second, it also adds potential draws to your deck because Engage is just a nasty card like that. So if you have cards like Upstart Goblin and Allure of Darkness, you're digging into your board breakers, but you're also fueling your graveyard for Engage to potentially draw cards, which means you can also draw into your engine in case you play way too many non-engine and you potentially bricked. So you actually get rewarded for playing the spell cards, the green cards that break the opponent's boards, that are really good going second already. But it also, there's a lot of implications. Like obviously if you play the Skystriker engine, your deck has to be built different. For example, you might start conflicting with the Bestials as well as Nibiru. And it also means that overall you can't really play too many hand traps because you kind of want to pair this like these cards up with like I said, spell cards, so that you can potentially draw cards more often. Anyways, before we go into reviewing any of these cards and any of the explanations, a friendly reminder of course to smash the like and subscribe button. It really motivates me a lot to keep making videos like these. And with that being said, let's get right into it. So obviously the basics, in case you don't understand anything about this engine, you really want to play 3 Engage as well as 1 Hornet Drones and 1 Widow Anchor. So this is the bare minimum in case you don't want to play any other cards. So obviously Engage if you control no monster. Well, I mean every single Skystriker spell except I think maybe for 1 or 2 or something. You can only use them if you control no monsters in your main monster zone, so that's the reason why they conflict with Bestials and Nibiru and Phantasma and stuff like that. So yeah, you're gonna be able to search any Skystriker card from your deck to your hand, and if you have 3 more spells in your grave, the bonus effect is that you draw a card, so clearly Engage is the best card in the deck. So you can search your Hornet Drones or the Widow Anchor. And Hornet Drones, it generates you a token which you can use to make the Kagari, and then the Kagari either recycles back the Engage or the other Hornet Drones. So if you want to recycle back Engage, then you can use it in order to search the Widow Anchor, and then you can go Widow Anchor, negate your opponent's stuff. So that's actually really scary. And the Hornet Drones, even on its own, it's not too bad. It's just that it's not on the same level as Engage, so you can generate 2 monsters on the field. The first one obviously is Kagari, the second one is a token. And if you also play like Hayate and Shizuku or something, you can go into Hayate using the Kagari and then Shizuku, and then you can make like an SP Lone Knight, because now you control 2 effect monsters, because unfortunately Kagari and Shizuku, they both point up. So you're gonna have to play like a second and a third Skystriker monster, which is not really something that most players extra deck can really afford the luxury of. So that's the reason why Hornet Drones, it's not really being used to do that. With that being said, you could go into Zeke using your 2 monsters, so your Kagari as well as the token, and then you send something to the grave, and then you summon any other monster, and then you make an SP Lone Knight. So it's very easy to just break boards without really having to commit too much. It's really just Hornet Drones as well as any other body on the field, so that's actually not too bad. The Widow Anchor, obviously this is especially used to negate stuff like Residual Detonator, at least right now in the TCG, because obviously if you go Widow Anchor negate, then your opponent can't really do too much about it unless he has like plug-in. Then you can self-destruct the plug with a detonator and then go plug in, revive back the detonator. But this is the reason why the Bestial cards are still seeing play in the Maliss deck, because you can still, you know, Bestial the opponent's detonator at this point. Or you could use the Bestials obviously as extenders on your own turn, and ways of, you know, playing through stuff like Ghost Bell on your GWC, so that you can still Bestial your own White Binder on your opponent's turn. So yeah, the Bestials, even if you don't want to, the conflicting shouldn't really matter too much in Maliss, because even if you don't want to use them as actual hand traps, you can still use them as board breakers, which is good enough, or extenders, I guess you can say. And even if you use them as hand traps, if you summon any other monster, you can make a Link 2 monster, and then you can still use your Skystriker card. So it's not like the Kashtiras, for example, that have like hard conflicting with Nibiru, because you're still always going to control a monster. Even if you make a Link 2, you're pretty much going to have to like crash or dark hole yourself, basically, if you want to summon a Kashtira monster. So yeah, this is relatively generic. There's also no drawback. It's pretty good. And the final card that, I mean, not really the final card, but the most generic card that isn't being played in the Skystriker engine would be Shark Cannon. It's still a good card, even though it's less relevant. This one is good against the Fiendsmith engine. Obviously, you banish Engraver, and that's not too bad. But when you play on, you know, your own, when you play going second against the Residual deck, it's less relevant. So the most important thing really would be Widow Anchor. But then again, if you have like Widow Anchor and Shark Cannon, then you can play around the possibility of your opponent having, you know, Razor Detonator as well as the plugin. But in the I mean, not really in the OCG, but in the OCG, obviously, they already have it, but in the TCG, we're gonna have Twins of the Eclipse very soon, and this card makes it so that Widow Anchor no longer counters Razor Detonator, because when you go Widow Anchor Negate, they can self-destruct while they have Twins of the Eclipse underneath. Detonator is gonna die, and Twins of the Eclipse will trigger to revive back the Detonator as well as give it 2 materials. So one from the Twins of the Eclipse, the other one from the Detonator effect to attach back. And if you don't have a Bestial monster, then it's basically back to square one. But Shark Cannon obviously can help you out, or a second copy of Widow Anchor, which nobody plays obviously, but you can still go Hornet Drones, get your Kagari, and then recycle back the Widow Anchor, and then Widow Anchor again. So very nice recursion. I really like the fact that, you know, you can play these cards as one-ofs, and then still utilize them, I guess, twice. And there's another card, I guess you can say, that is not too bad. It's Sky Striker Maneuvers Afterburners. This one, you get to destroy a face-up monster on the field, and if you have 3 or more spells in your grave, you get to destroy a spell and trap on the field. The bonus effect is actually more relevant than the steal effect and the revival effect of these 2 cards. First of all, because this, you get to break boards even more, whereas stealing a monster, usually it's not even going to resolve, because again, the Detonator is usually going to just self-destruct. And the Shark Cannon, well, you can't really activate the effect of whatever monster that you revive back, I believe. No, actually you can, but you can't attack with it. Okay, so it's still not too bad. If you can Shark Cannon like a Detonator, then at least, you know, you can give it back a material. That's actually kind of respectable. But yeah, like I said, these cards, they're not like the best with hand shops, but they're really good with board breakers, because when you're playing cards that make you draw even more, like Upstart and Allure, you can draw into like Engage, you can draw into like Talon Thrust. If your opponent like interacts with any of these cards, then he's like turning on these cards, which means that you can start utilizing them in order to get access to your engine. So again, even sometimes when you have like 0 engine cards in your hand, your opponent may not know that, so he may ash you on one of these cards, and then you can like thrust into like a terraforming, which makes you now play the game, or you can like talent, look at hand, and then like your one of engine card resolves. Yeah, like I said, in the Malice deck, it's really good because you get to skip a step where you don't have to go into Haggard Lizardos. You already have the bodies on the field, so you can go into Red Ransom right away, which means that you do not lose the Ghost Ogre, because Malice actually just does not lose the Ogre at all. There's basically no timing for it. I guess you can say you can Ogre the Terahertz, but then again, your opponent still makes like a really nasty board, and the Terahertz still resolves to send a monster, so they can still send you know, the Code of Soul. They're not gonna send obviously Cybers the Zavworm unless they can still end on like a Firewall Dragon some way or another, which usually we're not gonna see too much. So yeah, sending Code of Soul is probably the most logical option in this situation. Now, I want to see one of the best, if not the best, application for Hornet Drones, again, especially relevant when you brick, is that with one single Hornet Drones, you can go into Kagari and then recycle back your Hornet and then activate that, and then you got a Fire and a Dark monster on the field. So that opens up the possibility of going either into Hita or Dark. And these cards, again, even when you draw garbage, you can still use their effect. Even if they get negated, that's fine. You crash, and then you search something, and then you never normal summoned. So in main phase 2, you can play the game, and then, you know, that's a great way to unbrick, especially when you can crash like a Dark and then search Malice Dormouse. That's not too bad at all. Or you can crash Hita in the battle phase, and then you search Genroku, and then Genroku effect will trigger, and then you special summon it from the hand, you tribute it, you send, you special summon the Chandra attack, you special summon the Pydra, and then search, and it's basically just full power Tenpai Dragon OTK at this point, because, you know, what is like Chandra and Kaiman Limited going to change in this instance? Absolutely nothing, right? So yeah, it's really scary that if your opponent activates Hornet Drones, and he has like a bunch of board breakers, and you have like an attack position monster with 1850 attack or more face up and attack position on the field, you will die to one single Hita crashing on you. And also, this can be true, by the way, even if you don't draw like the Sky Striker cards, and you draw a bunch of Bestials with like some hand shops, or like, I mean, not necessarily a bunch of Bestials, but like a monster that summons itself on the opponent's turn, like a Magnemite or a Nibiru, and then you can normal summon like a Molchami or like Ogre or Veiler. You make Salamander Elmirage so that you have a fire monster and then something else. Then you make the Hita, and then you crash. You can even crash on the Nibiru that you give to your opponent, and that is, well, the Nibiru token, and that's basically just gonna make you win the game on the spot, which again is very terrifying. So I want to say the best way to play Tenpai Dragon moving forward will be with the Sky Striker engine. It is just the best way. It's what we have starting to see in the OCG, and the best way to play the Malice deck. Maybe for now it has to be the Sky Striker engine, but in the future I'm not 100% sure. That's why I'm not gonna start pretending like this engine is gonna be like the only thing we'll be seeing in the near future, but it's still something that is here to stay, I want to say, for the most part, because going first, it is still extremely good. And you can also go engage Search Widow Anchor and then negate Chaos Hunter. So yeah, it doesn't deal with Lancia too much, but it's still very good against Chaos Hunter. So yeah, you can keep that into consideration. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know how you feel about the Sky Striker engine in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.